Hey, Daryl here, and this is my daily devotional. Lots of tears when you're with somebody when they pass away. I was with two of my grandparents, my mom's mother and father, each when they passed away. I was with my mother in the hospital room when they removed from her throat that which was keeping her alive, and she breathed no more. I cried. I wasn't with my dad when he passed away, but when I received the phone call, I certainly cried. There is sorrow related to the passing of loved ones. As a minister, I would have to stop and try to think how many bedsides I've been with over the years when folks have passed away. But listen, here is a message today that ought to bring us a glimmer of hope for our loved ones in the Lord who have passed away. Remember, Joseph had been sold into slavery. He had been removed from his father Jacob now for decades. And finally, they're brought back together thanks to the famine as Joseph's brothers and his dad come to Egypt. The Bible tells us that Jacob was in Egypt 17 years before he passed away. And I'm sure those were wonderful, wonderful years of reunion between Joseph and his father. But when his father died, this was Joseph's reaction. In Genesis 50, verse 1, Joseph threw himself upon his father and wept over him and kissed him. He responded just as you or I might respond when a loved one passes away. But we go to chapter 49, and the last verse, we see the passing of Jacob. And there's one phrase there that I want to read to you that gives us hope. Genesis 49 at verse 33. When Jacob had finished giving instructions to his sons, he drew his feet up into the bed, breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. That's what I want you to focus on for just a moment. That phrase, he was gathered to his people. Now, there was a ritual or a custom in ancient Canaan where they would take the bones of the deceased and they would rebury them with the other bones from members of their family. And some have suggested that this is what Scripture is referring to. But I would highly disagree, because this says that he was gathered to his people at that moment when he breathed his last. That is one wonderful, glorious thought I have, knowing that my grandparents I referenced were in the Lord. My mother and my father were in the Lord. And when I have breathed my last breath and I am gathered to my people, I will be gathered with my family in the Lord who have passed on before me. You know, this phrase, gathered to the people, is used a couple different times in Genesis chapter 27, making reference to the passing of Moses. It says, all together, in the passing of Moses, it says, there on the mountain that you have climbed, you will die and be gathered to your people, just as your brother Aaron died on Mount Hor and was gathered to his people. And so you see this phrase again, Moses dying on that mountain, gathered to his people, those predecessors who have already gone on to be with the Lord, and also his brother Aaron. But something beautiful, and let me quickly show you this. In the book of Genesis, making reference to Abraham. Although Abraham lived 175 years, Abraham breathed his last and died at the good old age, an old man full of years, and he was gathered to his people. I don't necessarily want to leave my people here on this earth, but when the time comes, the thought of being gathered to my people who are in the Lord is a wonderful, glorious thought. God bless you. Good day.